Welcome to day 92 of our 365-day challenge to do one thing every day that improves us. Today we're talking about our spiritual core values. We switched into our spiritual area and aspect of our life of our 9 areas and aspects that we're covering in the annual challenge this year. We've done physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Now, as far as core values go, on day, and I actually went back and looked this up because I couldn't remember, on day, and it hasn't been the same day every period that we've, or every section and every segment of the life framework that we're discussing through this challenge. So on day 8, we talked about physical core values. On day 44, we talked about emotional core values. On day 82, we talked about mental core values. And today, day 92, we're talking about spiritual core values. So when we talked about our emotional core values, I shared a process with you. If you want, you can go back and look at that, but I'll just run through it quickly. How do we identify our core values? Well, first, we write down what's important to us. And this time through, we want to pay specific attention to our spiritual or religious or our big usness, who we are as human beings, overall big version of ourselves, not just our everyday going through the motions of our life self. How are we connected to source or spirit or God or whatever it is that we believe in? So the first thing we want to do is we want to write down all the values, all the things that are important to us, all the things we can think of that are important to us. Then we want to consider people that we admire. What kind of spirituality or spiritual beliefs do we think that they have, or do we have evidence that they have based on the example that they're setting for us? Third, we want to consider our experiences, the experiences we've had. I mentioned yesterday that until I was 50 and had a sudden cardiac arrest and died, I was a Catholic, a practicing Catholic. And following that event in the coma, when I woke up, my thoughts about religion and spirituality and many of my beliefs had shifted and changed and morphed to something else. So consider your experiences. Number 4, we want to specifically look at spiritual related core values. So if you're looking up something today to help you get ideas of, well, what are my core values with respect to spirituality, which is exactly what I did yesterday, you'll get a list that's more specific to things that have to do with spirit, religion, faith, belief, hope, etc. So we want to do that. But normally we categorize our core values as a whole, but I find it a lot easier to break it down by the life framework to say, okay, physically, what's most important to me? Mentally, what's most important to me? Emotionally, what's most important to me? Spiritually, what's most important to me? And I find this a good way to look at core values because it makes it less overwhelming. Finally, we're going to identify central themes, choose our top core values, and then, like I said, I talked about that I do an annual integrity audit to say, okay, am I living by my core values, or am I just blowing smoke up my own you-know-what when I think I'm living by my core values? So I check in periodically to make sure, hey, these are the things that are still important to me. So what are some examples of spiritual core values? I did look some up, and then I will go through our action item today right along with you and identify what are probably my top 3 to 5 spiritual related core values. Because if we have 3 or I like to have one main one for each of the areas and aspect of my life. If we have 3 to 5, 5 times 9 is 45. Now all of a sudden we have 45 core values that are helping us make decisions and choices in our life, which I contend is way too much. I like to boil it down to probably 1 for each main area. But what I want you to do is do this exercise. Think about your core values with respect to your spiritual well-being and health, and then just share one. It doesn't have to be your main one. Just share one in the comments below. Mine will probably be, I don't know what it'll be. Maybe let's look at a list. So one person's list was, and one author wrote an article in a book on honesty, authenticity, openness, love, requirement to evolve, and spiritual growth is what they were talking about. Another list of spiritual core values are honesty, trust, kindness, generosity, tolerance, patience, perseverance, discernment, courage, beauty, hope. And then another person had compassion and respect on their list. So, and then some of them cross over, right? But all of us have some things in common. Some of us have nothing in common, right? If you're listening to this, you probably have ability and desire to get better and progress and evolve as part of your core values. Lifelong learning is definitely one of my core values. Now, does that have to do with my spirituality? It really has to do with every area and aspect of my life. But mine are love for sure, but love usually is the one I call up as number one under my emotional well-being and my emotional core values. Compassion, respect, kindness. I think trust and honesty are biggies for me. Authenticity as well. Openness. So think about this today. You don't spend a ton of time thinking about it, but as you go about your day, notice the things that feel good to you and the things that don't feel good. And then ask yourself, okay, well, what core value is popping up with respect to my spiritual well-being that this might be symbolizing to me? And then share one in the comments below, and I will be with you tomorrow. I don't know what we're talking about tomorrow. I'm not even going to look ahead. I will be with you tomorrow to work some more on our spiritual well-being area and aspects of our life. Any questions? Ask. Otherwise, have fun with this, and I will be with you tomorrow.